Are you tired of playing by the rules? Tired of doing what you're supposed to when all you really want to do is burn the damn rule book and start fresh? I get it. I've done it more than once. And let me tell you, freedom tastes better than approval ever could. Welcome to her Gypsy Rebel, the podcast for those who crave more creativity, more space, more of your own damn life on your own terms. I am Jacqueline Van Bierk, aka Pink Star, a musician, artist, traveler, and professional rule breaker, bringing you real, unfiltered conversations about reinvention, confidence, and making space for what actually matters. So grab a coffee, a tea, something a little stronger, because this is where the rebellion begins. Hello and welcome back to her Gypsy Rebel podcast with your host, Jacqueline Van Bierk. How are you guys doing today? This is our artist series, which I'm so excited about because I'm a musician and I love talking to musicians. And there's always so much that goes on behind the scenes. I have an amazing guest today. Her name is Lizz Dueñas, an amazing singer, songwriter, artist, performer, and she's gone through so many obstacles. I'm excited to share her story with you guys. So with no further ado, here's Lizz. Well, hello, Lizz. It is so nice to finally have you on the podcast. You know, we've been talking for a while, and I just love everything you do. We've met a few times in person, but never really got a chance to talk because we always met in like loud clubs where it's like impossible to talk. So welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
You're a busy bee. You're always busy.
Yeah, I'm a busy bee.
Yeah. So we're doing this whole musician edition, and you are such a perfect example. You have such a crazy story on because I think people always think, being on stage, that's so glamorous, that's so fun. Yes, it is, and we love that, right? That's our home. But then there's a lot of things in the background, all the tribulations and struggles you've had to overcome to be to where you are right now. And right now you're in a great place. You know, I always see you posting your performances. You're such a glittery, like vibrant person. I just love that. And your energy in general, you're so really came into yourself, but it didn't start there, right? So share a little bit about your story, about how you got into music, and then the obstacles you faced, and despite all of it, here you are.
Okay. Do you have a week? No. Okay, we're gonna try to keep it short. But my father was a musician, so my father was a drummer in a band that came from Mexico. So he was an immigrant and was brought over here and discovered and signed on Dunhill Records with Lou Adler, who was
oh wow.
Lou Adler had the Mamas and the Papas, in the 60s. So anyways, when I was a little girl, he would take me to clubs, put me behind his drum set. Back then laws weren't so strict, so I'd be like underage in a club with all these adults, and he'd give me the cowbell and I'd be out ding ding ding, and he was my best friend. And my mother, she worked in the office, so he would watch over me. And he was very hard on me, though. Very strict, very hard. I grew up with a lot of anxiety and tense because if I didn't eat perfect, hold the fork right, he was very hard on me, but very loving and affectionate. So my dad, I'm grateful for how he was. And so like 9 years old, I was playing drums. So drums were my first instruments. I could read drum music, but he was a jazz drummer, and then piano. And I wrote my first song at 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
It was called We Are Clowns. We are clowns and we are very happy. That was my first song, and I used to put shows in the garage. My neighbor was this man with overalls. He would come and hang me curtains, and I'd get all the neighborhood kids, and we'd get a shoebox and charge $0.25, and I would put together skits, and I was always the director. Like I'd get all the girls to do all, sing, and so all of that was great. And my father would always tell me, like, you're a star, you're a natural, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna get it. And I would go and I'd audition for a part, at school still, maybe 11, 12 years old. And I get it because my dad would just tell me there was no other way. You're going to go get it. So I go get it. And I was 7 grades ahead in school, like in reading and writing. Anyways, my dad, being out there, about 12 years old, met a lady and got taken away out of my house.
Oh.
So after that, I kind of went the whole other direction from honor roll student and music, and just went off the deep end. And when I changed high schools, and I remember them making fun of me at this new school, like because they knew I came from another school, and I quit music. I said, that's it. My father told me to be the best at what I do. So, you know, I went a whole different direction, quit music, started on a road of drugs and all that crazy stuff. And I always got great opportunities, like opportunities would come. I made the show in Europe to tour at 17, but no, I'd rather go party. So then there went more. Then I got pregnant at 19, and then I had my son at 20. I didn't realize that having a son to be in music, that's a whole responsibility. Music is a selfish business, very hard. I didn't realize that. So, you know, I had my son and I was a young mom. And about 23, I worked for Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, Tony Robbins, a motivator. I got this job
Love
for
it.
Tony Robbins. And I would come in looking good on the outside, but in the inside, I was a mess. And I would come in from partying, and one day I had to listen to Tony Robbins, to his, you know, because that was our job. We had a 24-track studio, and that's where he would record his Power Talk program.
I love Tony Robbins.
And I listened to his program one night, and I used to take in this job. They sent me to rehab and everything. They were just awesome people. And one night I was typing in the office, and I was transcribing his script, and it was about this old lady who lifted a car off her grandson. And they asked her, well, she said, what more could I have done in life if I lifted this car at 80 years old? And at that moment, I go, man, I'm trying to please my mom by working in the office. I went and bought a keyboard, and I said, I'm a musician. This is what I was made to do. My dad was a musician. This is what it's in my blood. And I had quit music because of that mishap in high school. Yeah. And my son's aunt actually was a bookkeeper for a producer, and they were looking for a girl. And that's how I got my first, they put me in the studio. And then it was just the beginning of a whole road. You know, my uncle didn't let me sign that contract. And then I started singing house music, like in the 90s. My father never taught me, you know, what to do when things don't go my way. He only trained my brain for things to go my way. So when things didn't go my way, I would run away. So I was in the 90s on the radio, you know, Power 106 and limos picking me up and performing clubs, dance music and all that. But still with that behavior. And when my record wasn't in the stores and I got a new attorney, everybody was fighting over me. And I'm like, this is too much. This is too much. And I just disappeared and ran away from everything. Left my label, disappeared. It was just a mess.
Where did you go?
I was in a very bad relationship. So I went to the house where I was pretty much kept captive. I couldn't go to rehearsals. My boyfriend at the time, he wouldn't let me go to rehearsals. There was always the police at our house. You know, it was just very bad. And fans one day helped me. Fans came to the house. They knew he was at work. It took 2 hours. They packed, got everything in a truck, and took me away.
That's crazy, girl.
Yes.
Wow.
And then, and then I probably should have been homeless because my mom was like, you are just too much out of control. And I should have been homeless, but my son's grandma let me stay there. And then that's probably, you know, when I had to get help. I knew I had to get help. I couldn't. I said, Liz, you're going to keep destroying everything good that comes in your life. Yeah. So you better fix yourself first. Because I would get so many opportunities. Warner Brothers, you know, and all these major things that musicians would love to get. But no, I would just like, poof, you know, spit on it and ruin it.
Yeah.
I was tired of myself.
Yeah.
I was tired of myself. So I got help, and I'm no longer missing anymore, you know, fast. But then I did because I did grow up, I did start singing metal at 17. So after my dance record, I'm like, well, you know, I've done a lot, you know, in dance. I'm going to switch to rock because that's what I do. And so I had my first ska punk band, like 1998. We got a recording offer from Warner Brothers right away because I had already been out. And we were just all so crazy, but I was clean, and they didn't want to sign. The drummer would fight with me and all that. And so there went that. And then it just was band after band where I wasn't the one this time messing things up. Now it was other band members with those same issues that I worked on myself. They had those issues still, you know, self-sabotage. You know, we'd get close and then they were still broken. But now I'm like the Al-Anon person. Now I'm the one that's around the sick. And so it took about 20 years, over and over. I can't tell you how many bands. Finally, the last band, you know, which I consider still my band, but we haven't seen each other probably in a year and a half. You know, I brought them a big opportunity again. And finally, I was just depressed in my bed.
Yeah.
And it was about 2019, and I was depressed and crying, and it was early, 8 o'clock in the morning or something, crying, praying, and I'm like, God, and I was now afraid to sing by myself because I was so used to having the comfort of other people on stage with me. So I couldn't even fathom me going back to being a solo artist. And I just was crying and praying, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I want to go back to a solo artist, but this is too much. And my phone rang in 10 minutes, and it was a call, and it was a promoter saying, hey, Liz, we want to book you by yourself, doing your music from the 90s. And I sat up in my bed, I'm like, no way. And I'm like, I will do it. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to find all these files and, you know, dig in my DATs and stuff, you know, back from the 90s. But it all worked out. And I had this one producer I had worked with, and he got me my tracks back, and I went and started doing my first little show, 2019, you know, and
that's crazy.
That was the beginning.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say that, you know, I feel I know so many musicians like that. Self-sabotage is a big thing, you know, because we all obviously grew up, artists in general, we are a bit more sensitive, we're very, you know, in tune. When we're thriving, we can be thriving, but it's easy to get thrown off the track, right? Like your dad, that was traumatic for you, and you're like, holy shit, I don't even know. I have such a bad taste with music. And then obviously you got clean eventually, and then you attracted the same thing though, right? You attracted people that were just self-sabotaging. What was the biggest lesson that you learned dealing with, you know, because I know for myself, there were many times where, you know, you settle for less, you know, you just want to have a band together, you just want to play shows, and you just kind of compromise, right? But looking back, I'm like, I probably should have not done that. You know, I should have not settled for less. I should have, you got to go, you know, get clean or whatever. And I think times have also changed, right? Because back in the days, labels they still do encourage drugs.
Yes.
And, you know, they love that because they love when there's a mess and when there's drama, you know. But what was the turning point for you where, like, and you said it already kind of, you know, you said it was like one thing after the next. And at some point you were like, I surrender.
Yeah.
Hand it over to God, you know.
Yeah. For me to ruin what I did in 1996, I hated myself.
Yeah.
I hated myself, and I tried to kill myself. I tried, but I wouldn't die. I would just get sick. I was trying to drink myself to death because I'm like, die. Look what you did. You ran away. You were already on the radio. Do you know how hard that is? Oh my God. So I tried to destroy myself. I think the turning point was actually when I was working the 12-step program and I had my sponsor, and I remember she kept saying, Liz, you need Al-Anon, which is the person that's around the addicts and alcoholics. She's like, you need Al-Anon. I'm like, I don't need that program. I'm already sober and clean and blah, blah. I don't need to go where all those weak people are, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then the one day I finally went in there, I went, whoa. This is what I was at 12 years old, because my dad was the alcoholic and I was the one walking on eggshells trying to take care of that, keep peace in the house. So that's why now I'm in bands and I have all the guys that are fatherless, their fathers were alcoholics, and now I'm in this, it was like the next band, the guitar didn't show up because he had a drinking problem. Then the next band, this problem, it was like, so I made sure I worked on myself. I've been a work in progress since back then. Yeah. I'm always growing and working on myself, and really, I gotta say, dance music coming back to me in 2019, that saved me. Like, that really saved me, because if anything gets ruined now, it's because of me.
Yes.
I have no excuse. Yeah. There's no band members around me. So there's no more excuses. And
it's admirable, because when you think about, we've both had bands. I've had my band Artist Daughter for a long time, and man, it's so hard to keep a band together. Even if they're sober, it's a marriage amongst 5-6 people, right? And if you go on tour, there's going to be somebody who doesn't want to tour anymore. There's so much that goes into it. Also money, you're splitting your money, even with the label, right? With like 6 other people, the label gets most of it, and then the people have to split it. So there's a lot of little things. What would be your advice if like somebody said, man, should I go solo or band? Because I agree with you. When I got so resentful at some point, because everybody wants to be a rock star, but they don't want to put in the work, right? And you end up doing all of it, and you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And then you still have to hear shit that you're the diva because you're the front person, while you're the one also helping loading in, loading out,
Yes.
I'm like, I do a lot.
Girl, we do everything. Like the acting, the flyers,
Yes.
the pictures, the editing, the videos. I did everything for my band.
Same.
Like you, right?
Yeah.
We
and
did
it's a
everything.
lot.
They played and wrote, and we all wrote. But man, when it came to all the footwork, I'm the one 24 hours just up there making the flyers, booking the shows, and then, everything. All I know is when you're going to have 2 or more personalities, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with other people's issues.
And egos.
And egos,
And brokenness and alcohol, sadly, drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
A lot of, because I think
also self-esteem. That was my last band. And I don't want to mention which, member, but I remember I brought him a very big, I don't even want to mention because he'll probably see this somewhere. And I know it was more his self-esteem. He didn't think he was good enough. And this guy was one bad mofo.
Right.
Because later on, when somebody said, why didn't you replace him? And I'm all, because I don't think you could. And when he heard him, he goes, oh, I know why you didn't replace him. And it was just because he had low self-esteem. He didn't think he was good enough to be around this guy that was going to come help him. And so it's really, really hard, because I love rock and I love metal and I love it hard. I just love it. That's my soul. And
it's fun being with a band. Is fun, when you have, like you said,
you have a band.
Yeah, because I felt the same way when I did some solo performance. I was like, oh my God, I feel so weird without a band, because there's nothing you can hide, or it's just weird.
Yeah,
it felt
you get the
really
energy.
weird.
The energy. So when you're next to your bass player, the bass is all it's like the drums, all of it. There's nothing like it. But and the fighting. One time I had a boyfriend in the band, so I had to learn that lesson.
Oh yeah.
don't date the friggin' bass player. Because then one time we had a fight, and I was like all on stage trying to get next to him, and he was backing away from me, like going in the corner. And I'm like, dude, don't you ever do that again when we're on stage. What is wrong with you? You know, so I've been through every lesson that you can imagine.
Oh my
And
God.
it's still gone on for the past year. Still
Yeah.
has.
So, and then you transitioned, you got the call, and you finally, you know, after, I mean, and you got signed a few times, then you got dropped, or you just disappeared because you're like, oh God, you know,
Yeah.
I might
Yeah,
actually
I
fucking
actually
blow up.
never got to sign because one of the members wouldn't want to sign. Like
Yeah.
3 times I had Warner Brothers come. 3 times one band member didn't want to go, and we couldn't replace him because back then a band was a band.
Yeah.
You don't replace one. These guys were all from Huntington Park. They grew up together. You don't replace this person.
Right.
That's not like in the laws of ska punk, you know. And so
But look at you now. So you got the call, and then you just you got back into it, and now you're performing. You just did an amazing, great freaking show at the Greek, right? Like, tell us about that.
that was off the hook. Yes, but it hasn't been because COVID came. Because, you know, after 2019, so I finally got a couple songs, and I'm like, oh man, I was just about to start performing. Here we go again. 2016, I was working in an office again, and I'm just hating it. And I was sitting at my computer, and, you know, I'm always talking to God. So God has been my best, you know. I even say, you know, am I crazy? Is anything hearing me? And I was like, I can't, my band was flaking. Again, I had my band level 7, and it was falling apart, and people were flaking, and my phone rang, and they're like, hey, we need a girl for this Saturday, and this is Sabi Reyes, and he's like, he has about, I don't know how many hits. When I met with him the first time, I'm like, this is your song? This is your song? This is your song? You know, I used to dance to these songs in the clubs when I was 21, and they were my favorite songs. So I never thought in my life that one day I'm going to be the one singing these songs. And so I only had 3 days. It was a Wednesday. The show was on Saturday. I knew the songs from the clubs, but I never knew the words because, you know, you always sing the wrong words.
Yes, I do.
I sang the wrong. I probably was replacing words, and it doesn't even have to do with the song and the lyrics, you know. So I just knew the chorus, like "Sweet Fantasy," and then so I had 3 days, and I'm working. So at my job, I was just like memorizing the lyrics on my phone. Thank God it was slow, you know, it was a very slow desk. So I just like memorized the lyrics, and then I told him, you know, 3 days is short, so you're gonna have to let me put the lyrics on the side of the stage, and then let me, because, you know, if you're a pro, you know, you just kind of glance over there and just to refresh. So he did that first show, and ever since then, that's when I became Desire with Sabi Reyes, you know, and then my pay was always low. At least I was getting paid, but it was low, so I'd get a little resentment and stuff because I knew I was working hard. And then I released singles, you know, by myself, but it's been a road since then.
But then you said you also got like gigs playing in clubs where you got paid really well and just singing a song, doing appearances. And I think that's also such a great way of like earning an income, doing what you love. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That is just
Yes.
so
And
amazing.
I kept getting better and better.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you always get better and better. I could see like my vocals have gotten better, you know, my stage presence. I always watch my videos, you know, after each show, see what I'm doing wrong, see how I'm speaking, you know, always studying myself to improve. And just last 2023, I got another call. The call, the call came because I was always crying about that I wasn't getting paid enough, and I knew I wasn't getting paid enough. And I understand, you know, he had to get paid. These were his songs and all that, and I love Sabi, right? So I get the call, and this girl retired. She retired, and these songs are hits. and it was to be Taps, which they are platinum artists from the 80s. And I'm like, okay, I can do it. So it's a lot of sacrifice. They called me in November. So while everybody, all my friends going out and holidays and everybody, I was learning, practicing, sacrificing. Friday nights, Saturday nights, all my friends, my girlfriends, they pretty much were tired of even asking me if I can go anywhere or anything. And this was the price I paid. So, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is the price I pay. And so I did my first show, and it went off the hook. By Monday, my phone was ringing, but now it was the beginning of the biggest drama. People fighting over me, who wants to manage me, this. It was such a mess. It became a bigger stress than and everything, And then I did the next show again. The roof blew off, right? Because I got dancers and choreographed. I did another bigger concert now with more people. Mm-hmm. And now videos are out. People are just like, yeah. And so the girl, she saw all this that was happening with Taps. So she decided to come back. And this was so hard on me because I was so happy I was going to have now a job that was going to be paying more. And now, and I got an agent. And so I was on the ground, like ground crying, Mm-hmm. And then I remember the manager of this girl said, well, Liz, you still have the other, Desire. And I said, I was just so done. I said, I don't know if I'm going to even be doing that. Like, I am so done. This is just like, how much can the heart take? Yes. And then people betraying me. The people who called me to beat Taps turned on me, and they started favoring the girl who came back instead of like, hey, you know what? You don't need to talk bad about, that she took your job because we're the ones who called her. Yeah. So it wasn't her fault. No, instead of them like being classy and sticking up for me, they betrayed me. And so it was on betrayal, letdowns. I was supposed to perform the Greek last year. The guy said that I was too crazy to work with. So he didn't book me. Oh, she's too crazy, which it wasn't me. It was the girl who had booked the show when I asked her, please do not do this. And so then it made me look like I was crazy. Oh my goodness. All this, I just had to ignore. I had to ignore and pray and just keep going, basically.
It is so interesting, like the music industry in general, I feel even like with licensing, when nothing is happening with you, you don't exist, right? Nobody cares. And then suddenly you have momentum going and everybody comes out and suddenly everybody wants to work with you. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. And it's just so annoying because, it's like through the good and the bad times. And also if you already had that gig, well, you could have had that gig, the other girl. So you didn't want it. So let her have it now, right? And your agent not standing up for that is like, but I love that you still seem to be so level-headed and said, you know what, let go, let God kind of thing, right? Like, it's so important. If you are not, you're a perfect example because if you are not stable, if that would have happened to you 20 years ago, you would have probably like gone way down the rabbit hole again, right? Like all the downward spiral because you could have not handled that. There's so much emotional distress that goes on when you're dealing with that stuff. It sounds not that a big a deal on the outside, but it is. It gets really
it was very, I thought I was going to have a heart attack that 1 week because we were on the phone from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days in a row from the morning till the night, people fighting. We would take breaks just to use the restroom.
Oh my goodness.
So for 3 days, and by Wednesday, I remember holding my heart and I was like, I don't know if I can handle anymore. And then this girl that was going to manage me, I said, God, I think I made a mistake. Oh my God, what am I going to do? After what she just did to me, and now she made me look bad. with this guy who's calling me crazy. I can't have this girl as my manager. What am I going to do? And by 11 o'clock that night, she called me. She's like, I've decided I can't be your manager. And I was like, oh, no problem. Oh, it's okay. I was like, thank you, God. You are so amazing. I'm like, oh, that's just too bad. Okay, that's okay. So, and everything, when it goes wrong, the first thing I have to go back to is meditation, prayer, and my spirit.
Yes.
Because you get so torn down and broken that you can't just keep trying again. No, you're like devastated. So I have to like turn on my computer. Whatever I do, I start praying, meditation, motivational, whatever I have to do to get my spirit. And that was one thing that I have learned that I will never forget, that has been ingrained in my head when I was in the 12-step program, was to maintain, to be spiritually fit first before financial. And if you stay strong spiritually, everything else is gonna be okay, because we're strong in the spirit. And we're like, you know, a tree with the roots in the ground. You keep getting blown and punched and blown and punched, but you know, it's okay to lose a day. I'm not on drugs. I used to lose a week being high on drugs. People couldn't find me. So, and I'm so perfectionist. I'm like, this, it's okay. Cry for a day. Be in your bed for a day. Go for a walk. Leave music alone for a day, because a day is just a day. And at least you're not high. You're not, you know, coming down. You're not. So give yourself a break for a day.
Oh my God. You saying
fill
that?
yourself up.
Yes. Yes.
Because we're not missing. I'm not missing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important, because if you're not grounded like that, because the industry doing that is so, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to be out there, you know, and then of course it's amazing when people love you, and like, you know, you were just talking before we started recording about people giving you gifts and really just being so sweet and so kind, and really what a reward, right? What a great thing, like, to know that people love me. They give me like a portrait, you know, like they made a portrait of you, and like they gave you the star, and it's so cool. But at the same time, if you don't ground yourself, and if you don't like honor your feelings first and your heart, you get in trouble, because as being a musician, you're really doing heart surgery every time you're on stage. You're showing, you're bearing your soul, you know. It's funny because people like us, it's normal to us. But I always get reminded when someone sees me perform and says, man, that is so brave. And I'm like, it is? Like, because we don't see it.
Yes.
You know, but to others,
yes.
It's a brave thing, and we are all energy. So when you're out there, you bear. People are easily can access your energy, give and take and exchange. So important that you said that, and I'm so glad that you all clean now, and that you know what? My new mantra is, I'm not behind, I'm not late, not, I don't have to rush anything, because it stresses you out so much when you think, oh God, I should be working on music. And also as a musician, when I quit Otto's Daughter, I quit my own band, like you, right? We just like said, that's it. But honestly, I felt dead.
Yeah, that was a big fan of Otto's Daughter.
But I felt dead, you know. I felt so I have no purpose anymore. It was painful, because and that's something that I think us artists, when you said you worked in the office, right, and then you're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be on stage, you know.
Yeah.
And that tug of war, a little bit, that push and pull, it's not easy to navigate that. So I'm so happy to hear that, you know, where you are now, and that you pulled through, because you could have easily, and we got more into it. We talked before this interview, and like you told me a bit more in detail, like some of the devastating stories you went through. And I'm like, man, for you to still do music, because so many people quit. Right? They're like, nah, I wanted to be famous and it didn't work out, so I got a job. Now I have the money, I have the house. But are you fucking happy? Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? Or are you just money at the end? You know, like you said, money is great. Yeah, we need money. But your soul, what does your soul actually want? Because the money will follow, right?
Yeah. And I don't want to die and I mean, for me, I've come to believe because I have had so many miracles. I know if I just had a miracle happen last night. I had to tell my mom what had happened. It was just amazing. But I've had so many miracles because I wouldn't know if I was just crazy talking to the air, if there was a God, blah, 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 blah. And then a miracle. But it would be down to the T, like where the person would say the words that I was telling God, and he used this person, I say he, you know. But everybody has their own belief and everything.
Yes.
But I guess, like, for me, music is because I'm a healer also. So right now, like, I'm trying to integrate the both. And so before I perform, because I'm like, okay, but I gotta perform. So I was having a battle. Well, I'm a healer or I'm in music. I'm a healer, I'm in music. Am I being selfish because I'm being in music? But I'm a healer, so that's what I really should be doing. And it's not me, it's God that uses my body, right? So, but now I learned before I do my shows, and I don't know how I got to this, because you probably didn't even ask me. But now I'll say, God, here's my little 5'2" body. So tonight you fill me with all your love, and you use me when I'm on that stage. Because if I'm nervous, it's because I'm thinking Liz. It's about Liz.
Ego.
This isn't about Liz. So then I say, here I am. Just use me and make everybody happy. And when they see me, they see you. They don't see Liz. It's you coming through my eyes and my body, and that your love. And so I've been doing this, has been my new practice, that I make sure I do this before every show. And one show, a girl came up to me and she said, excuse me, I was healed tonight. This is at a club, like boom, 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 you know, and she's like, you healed me tonight. I was healed, and I'm all healed. And I'm all thinking, oh, I'm like, hey, I get it. I'm like, I'm being used to bring joy and happiness. And if a healing happens to come through, like a miraculous healing, we don't know. Like sometimes you could touch somebody on their shoulder and they're healed because God used us, right? It's not us. And anyway, so now I'm learning how to integrate these two gifts so that I'm not battling like I'm supposed to be two separate girls.
I was just about to say that to you. I'm like, you are healing through your music, through being on stage.
Yes, and before I was battling that I had to maybe give up music because, I love God, so I gotta go be a healer full time. No, now I'm understanding that I can integrate the two. Mm-hmm.
I love that you said that, because I feel that most of my music career as well, I'm like, I want to empower people. I want to like really just let them see that, follow your bliss, follow your dream. But I want to do music, but you can't really make money with the music, right? And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm putting this out into the universe. Of course, I can't make money with my music if I keep saying that. And of course, why am I separating the two? Because being on stage, I am empowering people. We are empowering people. We are healing people. And once you realize that, like, no, we're not separate. We're not one thing. We're not one-dimensional people. We do a lot of things. And allowing yourself, now that you're allowing yourself to do that, I had chills when you said that. I was like, yes. Music is medicine. It's therapy. And I love that you're doing it also by yourself now, because I feel that it's great to have a band, and I love playing with a band. But I also love the fact that when I do it myself, I just, like you were saying, if there's something going wrong, it's me. Oh my God, this is your perseverance and your spirit, it's really admirable, because a lot of people would have given up. And to someone who wants to give up, I hope that you hear, and this story will inspire you, that there's always a different way, right? Because I think when you start out, you have a vision, you're like, my guitar player was like that. This is what we want, and that's it. And I'm like, but sometimes I started writing for film and TV, and I'm like, there's many ways to do music and make an income and do fulfilling things. It's not just one thing. Be flexible, right? Be like able to just, okay, now I'm singing, and you came back to what you love to begin with anyway.
Yes, and that is the thing, is being flexible.
Yeah.
Be flexible, because I remember having some friends, and when they heard my dance record, they said, "That's not you." And I said, "Yes, it is." And they're like, "Don't you remember your Peachy that said disco sucks?" And I'm like, that is me on the record. The dance music, because they saw me singing Black Sabbath and Judas Priest and all. So yeah, it's being flexible. And my mom was a dancer. And here's the other subject of my mom. I never had my mom's support until 2 weeks ago. And so now I got a mom. Like, this is really, like, I'm feeling love, because I have had this friction from my mom my whole music life. And I had a perception in my brain that she told me when I was 17. She said, you should not be in music. She said something like, you shouldn't work in music. You should be in something stable or something like that. That was her. And, but she told me later on, many years, because I interpreted it the wrong way. So that's why I would self-sabotage. So when something wouldn't go my way, I'd go, well, my mom told me I shouldn't be in music anyway. So what if this got screwed up? And I used her line that she told me when I was 17 over and over and over. Well, she told me I shouldn't be in music anyway, and I'd screw up another thing. So later on, she told me, no, Elizabeth, it wasn't that I was telling you not to do music. It was more I was worried because of the drugs and alcohol that were involved, and I already knew you had a problem. So then I just recently told her, well, Mom, when I worked in the office, I used to open my drawer and do lines of cocaine at the real estate office. And you can't move. You can't. It doesn't matter what I'm going to do. When you have an addiction problem, you're going to do it in whatever industry you're in. So now she understands, and she went to my first show after 30 years this 2 weeks ago at the Greek. And now I'm like, Mom, you got to calm down. Stop posting my videos on your Facebook. People are going to be sick and sick. She's like posting me. I don't know. It is a great problem. And now I feel, because I was always trying to please her. And every time I beat myself up, Liz, how do you think you're going to call your mom and you're going to get a happy response about you're doing this show? You're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. And I would cry. You don't know how many times I'd hang up. And then just 2 months ago, she told me, Elizabeth, why don't you just find something? You should quit this music stuff. And but now I'm so strong in myself. I was like, okay, bye, Mom.
We talked about that too, because I had the same experience. Like, it's interesting. My dad was also a musician. He didn't leave my mom, but they had not the greatest relationship. There was a lot of trauma going on in our home. But my mom never believed in me either. And she would always say, how much might you make? How much might you make? And man, that really affects you, because deep down you're like, can't you just fucking be happy for me? And that, your mom, I understand also, because she's like, well, he left her, right? He was an alcoholic. So my dad drank too, but he wasn't, I don't know. But he was not treating her nice though. But I think that it's just so damaging when parents do that, because they just, instead of saying, you know what, just do your thing. It's not like you're going like, hey, can I have some money, or can you pay my rent because I'm a musician? I can't pay no, you took care of yourself. So it's like, shut the fuck up and let me do my thing. But I'm so happy, because the same thing with my mom, and she just saw me like a month ago, and she was like blown away, and she's like, oh my God, who is this girl on stage? And I'm like, and now, she, but I'm like, oh my God, how long did we have to go through this? Both of us, right? To like convince them, this is what we came here to do. This is our thing.
Exactly. She knew when I was 13 years old, I was singing, and she knew me back then. I don't know, what happened, but whatever.
Yes.
it's finally, different 2 weeks ago, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
my new song, Tonight I'll Dance. So I just worked with a producer in Mexico, and we have a language barrier. We work through email, and I always write my songs. And I said, you know what? I kind of like what I hear in Mexico, these high energy, because high energy is big in Mexico.
right.
So I said, I kind of like, the melodies they come up with are so away from my kind of melodies. So I said, you write it. I want to sing what you write. He had no idea about my life. He had no idea what was going on, what happened with taps and everything. And he comes back. I couldn't wait to hear it. And he shows me the lyrics. And I'm like, what the heck? Because I asked him to write about love. I go, love and dancing, happiness, love, happiness. He goes, what do you want me to write? He comes back and it's like, leave behind the past, reset. That was the hook. Tonight I'll dance. I just dance till I forget. Leave behind the past, reset. And I was like, no way. I just couldn't believe it. So I know that was a blessing. Totally. And that's how we
amazing.
do, leave behind the past and reset
Yes,
over
yes.
and over and over again.
Yeah.
No matter
Man,
what.
that is so inspiring. Because again, like that, how many people give up? Because
Yeah,
this is not for everyone. Because you're
yeah,
dealing with
you gotta be.
rejection, you're dealing with, a lot of obstacles constantly in your way. And I don't know if that's God testing us sometimes. I don't think so. I think it's just life. It just.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I was when we because what happened with the Greek last year was very traumatizing to me because I met with these people and they were promising this and you're going to be making this much a show, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you God so much, thank you. I couldn't even believe it, right? And we're going to put you on the tour and da 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 da, blah blah blah. So you were just, I'm like, yay, and then I kept going, calling the guy, oh, is it going to happen? Is this going to happen? Finally, I'm sorry, you're not going to be on the bill. All right. So now we fast forward, and now we're getting booked this year for this festival. And the guys, we have a meeting at the office, and we're going to do this and we're going to do. And then we had to have courage to ask for the amount, and we got it. And I was like, oh my God, right? But now I am traumatized. So 2 weeks later, I'm like, are you sure we're doing the Greek? You sure we're doing, are you sure? Do we get the contract? Like,
Yes.
because now I'm traumatized what happened. They didn't sign the contract till July. So we had the meeting in March and April, and I think this was all
Oh my
for
God.
my character. It's all like, God, can't you just let me have it easy? No, it's always to change Liz. It's always to refine me. I had to learn, like, I had to go through all this character building and staying focused on me. Okay, so they haven't answered us. The guy said, for sure it's going through. So I would just keep working on my stuff, like keep focused, keep doing what you're going to do. And then finally in July, I'm like, are we doing this or not? And then, we got the contract. But yeah, I was traumatized. Like, that didn't even go easy to do this show that we just did 2 weeks ago. No, it took all this time just to get the contract and everything, but it finally went through, and it was exhilarating. And that's why I had to let people know too. Like, I use Facebook as a tool to inspire. And I let everybody know. I was scared as heck back there. I thought I was going to pass out. I kept holding my dancers' hands, and you could feel the energy transfer. Like I held my dancers' hands, and you could just feel it. And I was like, I'm scared. I don't think I'm going to pass out. And then they're all, Desire, you're up next. And you're more scared if you're not prepared. I didn't get a sound check. There
Right.
was no sound check. So that's why I'm scared. These things add on to the nervousness. I forgot the shorts I wear under my dress. So now I can't move because my dress, I got to be careful about it moving up. So the whole thing is I went through it. I didn't care. I messed up a couple times, whatever. It's just going through it. Mistakes and all, you cover it up. And once you go through the fear, the first time now it's going to be, I'll get scared again, of course. Every show I get scared. A little club I get scared. I ain't nervous.
Yeah,
It's
I like
normal.
that though. It's normal. Little stage fright and
Yeah, I
right
say, why do I
before.
want to do this all the time? But the minute you go on stage, you're like, yes. The minute you hear that
Yes.
beat,
Yep.
it's like out the window.
Because you're in your element. That's what you came here to do, you know? And I also like that you said that because it's like obviously, when you don't have the sound check and there's so much that goes into playing a show, when you play the show at like 10 p.m. and even if you're just playing 2 songs, whatever, or 3 songs, you got to be there like at 4 or at 5, right? And then just hurry up and wait, a constant thing. Like there's so much that goes into it, so much work. And also with the contracts, that's so much mind fucking in a way, It's always this,
Yeah, that was
yeah,
really strange how that happened because
yeah.
we were the only group that hadn't taken care of this. And so it's like, why?
Yes,
Why? You know? And
crazy.
that's another thing. I'm always having to protect myself because there's a lot of negative elements. So I always have to protect myself. I've learned I've had, witchcraft done on me. I've had so all these little things being an artist,
Protect
I'm
thyself
glad
for sure. Yeah.
I have to protect
Well, that's what I'm
myself.
saying, right? When you're out there, I mean, I can only imagine when you're someone like Lady Gaga or whatever, like really big stars.
Yeah, can you imagine? That's what I
There's a
wonder.
lot of energy that goes, if somebody really doesn't like you, and so you have to really
Yeah.
protect yourself because,
Yeah, because a person's thoughts, like anybody, like, I hate her, I wish, because they see her succeeding, that
yeah,
will, if you're a weak spiritual being, because
yeah,
that did happen to me in the 90s.
yeah,
I was weak, and this girl and my boyfriend found the stuff with the dust and everything, and I all of a sudden I was breaking down. I'm hurting myself. I'm in drugs and addiction. So now I've learned, now I have, we have to really protect ourselves, stay strong, always the people we have around us.
absolutely. That's the most important thing because like, Justin Bieber, we know like what he's gone through and like how hard it must be, to even at that point of success, that level of success,
Yeah,
who do you trust? Who's
yeah,
actually
because I'm
there?
just at this little level, which is really,
But still,
and I'm
but
like, oh
still,
my God, I can't imagine, like Taylor Swift, how do they
yeah,
still breathe?
yeah.
Because that's like billions of people, and so now I try not to feed too much into it,
You
and I'm
can't.
just,
Yeah, you
yeah,
can't. Just do your thing. But I'm so happy that you just really you found your thing, And is there any new music coming out? So you have a new song out now
yeah,
that you
and
just released?
bunch of remakes because a lot of the songs that I do sing in disco, they're all from previous artists, and everybody loves them. So like, so people are just saying, just remake it, like
Yeah.
update the music because it's from the 80s. The tracks are old, even though they're very good, catchy tracks, and everybody loves them. So I've had, this guy Tony Magic. He's since 2019. He's been a blessing, and he's actually here in the city that I live in, and I have never even seen him once. We've always worked via internet.
Mm.
But he remade, One More Time, which was a famous song from artist Bianca, and then he just sent me a draft today. So like before the show, I just sent him the end of my vocal. I'm like, here, throw this at the end, and that's how you just learn to be strong. Like I knew I was doing the podcast, but I'm like, just send him the vocal. No big deals anymore. No big deals. And
Yes.
all these little slogans, they pop up in my head. when I need them, so I just sent him that ending. And this is Spin It. This is a big song that every time I perform, the whole place goes crazy. It's called Spin It. And then also, yeah, with Desire, after we performed the Greek, he got a call for us to remake one of the songs we did on stage, which he produced for a group. So it was a famous song, but he was the producer. So that's why we were able to perform it. Mm-hmm. And then today I see a comment on Facebook, she's not the girl that sang this. And I'm like, did I put I was the girl that sang this? No, but the guy that's on stage with me, he produced it. So we are Desire, and we covered it that night because they requested that we perform this for the festival. So all these little personalities that come, I ended up messaging the guy, and he's like, I'm really sorry, no disrespect. Yes, you're right, that Sabby did produce that song. I'm like, no problem, have a great day. And so there's always going to be, I feel if we can't pass these little tests now, how can we even? And I'm too old. I'm not going to be no pop star, but I am freaking doing it. So anybody that thinks that, oh, I'm too old, I'm too this, don't judge yourself. For me, I picture myself ageless. Like, I have no age. Amen. I never really talk about it. My soul is my age. I'm like a kid. I have people younger than me. They can't even do a push-up.
I know.
I go to my son. I'm like, you can't do a set of push-ups. Running heels. I don't put in my brain at all that I'm the age. You can't. And music keeps me young. I think if I ever stopped, I would get old.
Yes.
I'm never going to stop.
Because go ahead.
Yeah, I had pictures that when I turned 80, I was going to have a punk band called Go Granny Go.
Yes!
And I was going to have this curly hair and wear these combat boots and be holding me. Like, Go Granny Go.
I'll join you. We'll do it together.
Yeah, you could be.
I love that.
Yeah,
because it keeps you young. And I think when you really do what your soul came here to do, there's a reason why we say soul crushing, right? When you do jobs that are just soul crushing, they're sucking the life out of you because you have nothing left at the end of your job from 9 to 5. When you come home, you're exhausted, you're drained because you're not supposed to be doing, the paperwork or whatever. And so if you decide you just quit that because you're like, oh, I couldn't make any money being a creative, eventually you're just you already kind of have that because you're not feeling alive. You're not feeling fulfilled.
And if we're blessed with the gift and energy,
and
that's why we've been given that energy.
Yes.
I am so hyper high energy. So disco, to sing high energy, that's what it's called, high energy disco. Yeah. And even the producer, he's like, why didn't I meet you in the 80s? Like, I wish I would have met you. And then my voice, I have a high tone voice. And honestly, I hated my voice. And to think that they love my voice because it's high, because I have the high, those, right? So now I'm like, oh, I love my voice. I'm like, now I'm finally loving and accepting myself when, I would cringe sometimes if I record and I'd be, oh no, so it's like finally my energy is matching the music. So I will always love metal, but my spirit, I am a loving person. I love people. And when I'm done with the show, I will take a picture with every single person in that club. And I will say hello, and I'll try to remember their names. And because I love people. So now this matches me more, that. As opposed to when I'm singing rock, you kind of get off the stage and then you walk around the attitudes and kind of you got to be tough. And I'm like, I don't gotta be anything. I just want to be myself. I want to just be loving. People are already stressed out with their everyday lives. They want to come and dance, so I want to make them happy. So they wake up the next day and they're like, we freaking sang last night. we danced last night, and that's all I want to do.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned that you didn't like your voice because I remember when I first started, I couldn't stand my voice. I was like, every time I'd record, I'm like, oh no. And I would spend days, I mean, sometimes weeks,
Yeah.
recording one song. And then,
Yes.
and I would sound the same. I'm like, I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
do
come
all
back
these
to
prompts and editing and all.
and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try to sing sexier. I'm gonna try to sing tougher. I'm gonna try to sing softer. And I'm like, holy fuck, what am I doing? I just got it takes
Yes.
time to accept. So I love that you said that
Yeah,
because
and
there
to
is a lot of
develop
inner
your
struggle. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
I'm a very intense is what I'm trying to
intense.
say.
Yeah, hmm,
So if the song is like all very sexy and smooth and all that, I'm like, hey, I kind of a little bit more intense. And so when I came out doing taps, I remember the girl who called to recommend me. She's all, oh no, please don't sing it so strong like that. It's supposed to be like you're telling a story of softness. But I had the crowd screaming. See,
just be
she
you.
was trying to get me to be like how it was, but then I'm like, but I had the crowd freaking going off the rails. They were all singing and dancing, and nobody was telling me I was singing too tense. And I'll tell you, the first time I went to the studio, I don't know if we're at the hour. I don't want to go over the hour, but the first time I was in the first studio, because I used to go dancing in the club, and a guy gave me a phone number because I had seen his name on a record. He goes, call these guys, they're looking for a girl. And this is way back in the 90s. And then I go, okay. So I go to this studio and I'm like nervous. I go in, there's another girl. I'm auditioning with this girl. And she's all, hi, my name right? And I'm like, oh shit. I'm Liz. Like, oh, hi. I'm Liz. Hi, how's it going? Right? Oh, crazy. And then, so we go to the mic. They put us both in the booth, and there's these guys. I barely met them the first night. They've been working with this girl already, but I don't know why they're even giving me a chance. Maybe I looked good back then or something. So I go up to the microphone and I go, so how do you guys want this sang? And I go, sweet and smooth and sexy, or right? And then they're all, yeah, smooth and sexy, right? And I'm all thinking, shit, smooth and sexy. I don't know. I didn't have that in me, Now I do. Now I can. But back then I was still learning, right? So I go up to the microphone, and I still am intense. But we go up to the mic, so they put the track on. It's called Techno Groover. And she goes up to the mic and she's all, Techno Groover, body mover, Techno Groover. And I'm thinking, oh my God. I go, I can't do this. So I go, oh, well, I'm going to just sing it. And if they kick me out, so I was all, Techno Groover, body mover. Like I sang it strong, and the whole place, all the guys jumped up, and they're like, yeah, and they screamed, and I got the job. And I got my first recording contract, and that's because I was like, this is a dance song. There needs to be some soul, some like hard, techno groover. And so I've always told that story to people who struggle, like, if they're afraid to do it, you got to just be yourself.
You gotta be yourself.
I'm still intense. I practice to be, more nice, because I am from metal and all that, so I do still have that kind of roughness. And I've been told, I sang in a cumbia band once, and they're like, Liz, you're like a little too metal. So I have to study, the singers of cumbia, how they're more. So it's fun.
But it worked for you. And I think it's great because there's a difference between you being a session singer and you being an artist, right? Session singer, yes, you got to do what you got to do, like what they want. You're getting paid.
Yeah.
But if you're an artist, and that worked out for you. I always ask my guests before we close the show, and I could talk to you forever. Like, you're so much fun. Like, we would have so much fun if we lived in the same town. And you, by the way, you inspired me because I've been writing dance music ever since I left Otto's Daughter, and I still do metal. We still play some shows, but I want to perform more, and so you really inspired me. So thank you for that, because I'm like, yes,
Yes.
there's got to be opportunity out there, you know. But I always ask my guests, what is one of your pet peeves?
In life.
And I love there's always that little pause, because like it catches people off guard. They're like,
Yeah, I have no idea. The only pet peeve I have is when I'm at the gas station and I have to wait for the end of the gas to go. No, I don't know. I can't really say I have any pet peeves.
you don't have to. Yeah, some people
Yeah,
don't.
I really can't think of a pet peeve. And maybe because I'm always by myself.
Mm, mm, mm.
But I have been letting and practicing learning how to let people in. You know, I have these friends now that come with me that I've let in one by one. And we've had some, you know, my little pet peeve was I felt like maybe some of the people around me were, you know, going with me to the shows so that they can meet the other celebrities. I don't know if that's necessarily a pet peeve.
I would say so. I think it's like being a little bit like shady, dishonest, you know, just like
Yeah, yeah. So to
opportunist.
me, I feel like when you're a leader or you feel you're supposed, well, I've always felt I've been a leader. I have to see and I ask God to give me the tones and the love, how to handle this. Because you know what? I've always been a loner and by myself, and it's good. But then at the same time, do I really want to be alone? Because I see when I do go with them, I have support, and I never knew what support was. You
Mm.
know, now I'm learning, wow, these people, they support me. Like they really come and support me. It's freaking strange to me because I've always been by myself. I've driven to shows by myself. My whole life, I've done everything by myself. So
Mm.
I'm learning how to allow personalities around me. And when you have personalities like a band, you're gonna have these little things. So I did go through a problem just this past weekend, and man, we got through it. Me and my friend and I that always comes to my shows with me, and I just kind of said, I don't care. I understand you want to meet all these people, but please, you gotta kind of, I asked if you could go to help me. So just kind of, don't forget. I'm not like some uh you can't talk to anybody or go schmooze or anything. No,
Yeah.
I want them to have fun. That's the reason they went backstage. But at the same time, I had to lay down some rules.
Boundaries and
Hey,
rules. Yeah,
you
yeah.
should have called me to go over there because I am an artist and I should have been over there saying hello, at least to the promoter and thanking him. But I was so nervous, I couldn't even think where I was supposed to be,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so I don't know if that's even necessarily a pet peeve. It's just like a problem that just kind of happened.
Yeah, but I feel it's good to address that, because like you said before, right? In the industry, a lot of times people just like are surround you because they're just looking out for themselves. And I feel like in LA that's always been a little bit a thing with bands, even, where it's like, man, if we just all work together, it's teamwork. Everybody can win. Nobody's stealing anything from anybody. But I've met
Yes,
a lot of people that were always so freaking guarded. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, what's your, can you hook me up with the tour manager, to maybe go on tour with Korn or whatever? And they would just be so guarded. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
yeah,
what's the big deal? I'm an open book. What do you want to know? What do you need help with? It's just like
yeah,
this being helping one another is like so important, and also knowing, who you can trust and who you can't, and
yes,
and set those boundaries. That's important. Yeah, I agree.
yes.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
at LizzDueñas 1. That's Lizz Dueñas 1. Um, that's mostly, and Facebook, and they could just Google, YouTube, Spotify, Lizz Dueñas, Lizzduenas.
Uh-huh. Are you on YouTube as well, right? Obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube, Spotify, all the, I just tell everybody Google because
Yeah.
there's so many. Everybody uses different platforms, so
And where
they
can
can.
they buy your music? On Spotify,
On
on
Apple Music,
Apple Music.
Amazon,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
you know,
Awesome.
all the typical platforms. Their
So
favorite.
support Liz. Go and see her if you can, because I can't wait to see her live. Because I keep just seeing it on Facebook. I'm like, oh man, I wish I was closer. But I will. Eventually I will. The end of the year, maybe, something
Yeah,
will
yeah.
manifest.
Hopefully, I'll be out traveling out.
Oh,
Kind
you
of
will
just
go.
the world's kind of a little crazy. This is what my newest thing of fear is, just because everything's so crazy. I'm like, do I really want to go? You
Yes, you
know,
do. Yes, you do. You
over
know what?
there.
I think like we can't think like that because I mean, you probably don't watch the news either, or at least not as
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
Which I don't, and I think you're also like a bit more of a free thinker and like
Yes,
doing your research on things. And I think that we can't be scared. We can because then it's like what the heck, like life is too
yes.
short to not enjoy it and to not travel and to not follow our gifts and our dreams and goals. So yeah, you got this, girl. Like just go for it. Go for it. Don't be scared. You
Okay,
got this. God got you. You're
okay.
finally on the right track. And you know what? You've always been on the right track because I feel that looking back at what we talked about, all these obstacles, that was just like it made you so strong and so smart and so wise now that you've become pretty much like nothing can knock you off your I don't want to say
Yes,
throne, but you've become so strong and centered and grounded that now you have all the tools. You're a healer. You're a great singer. You're a great artist, and you just know that when shit happens, you talk to God, and God is just gonna
yeah,
be taking care of it because right, you're in alignment. And when you come from a
yes,
state of being and not from a state of trying to control things or our ego, which we all obviously do sometimes,
yes,
everything always works out. And you're a great
yes.
person, so you've overcome so much. So I want to congratulate you for that. Because and then playing the Greek, come on, this is just
Oh,
like so. Thank
I
you.
know. Yes,
Thank
and
you.
I feel I do it. I had to do it. I had to do it
Yes.
for people around me because you're like, hey, you're showing them courage. Remember how you said when they said you're brave? Because I was scared. I'm like, but you gotta do it.
Gotta do
Otherwise,
it.
I'm gonna let them down. They're gonna go, oh, she chickened out.
And you let
And
yourself down because you've let yourself down in the
yes,
past, right? And you finally healed
yeah,
from all these wounds. And now you are the
exactly.
healer to help others heal with their wounds through your music, through your stage presence. And that's just such a gift that keeps on giving.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
thank
totally.
you for making the time to be here and share your
Yes, thank you for having me.
amazingness. And any last words you want to share? I think we already talked about it, but if you have
Yeah, I
anything
think we've
else,
talked our brain. Yeah, no,
yes.
everything I said.
Thank you, and I will talk to you very soon again. And I wish you nothing but great success and more shows, more performances, world travels, world tour, and hopefully we'll meet during the world tour somewhere.
Yes, yes, and
Much love.
a dance music going.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, alrighty,
Thank you, girl.
bye.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you really enjoyed this. There's a few takeaways that I wanted to mention. First off, perseverance, right? There's always something that might go wrong. You might go through some challenges, whether that's addiction, whether that's like something in the home, parents, whatever the case may be. Do not give up on your gift. Do not give up on your gift. If this is your calling, get yourself back up and follow your dreams because life is too short not to. Also, finding a way to ground yourself, to have a little ritual that gets you back on track, or when you're feeling the stress, when you're feeling the drama going on, that you have a way to center yourself again and to find your peace, your own peace first before you get back in the game and be busy. Very important. And also having faith, having just a trusting God, trusting the universe that everything will work out, because as long as you're being authentic to yourself and not pretend to be someone you're not, things will always work out. And I feel that Liz really, when she was sharing her story, that's what came through big time. And also, when you are an artist and you have other gifts, that doesn't mean they are separate, because we are multidimensional and we have many things that we do. That does not mean they have to be separate, because Liz said she's a healer and music heals. So of course she's a healer. Of course people come up to her and say, thank you so much, you just healed me tonight, because she's really in touch with her faith, first of all, with, really internalizing God and not letting her ego rule and run the show, but also really being in alignment with who she truly is. So thank you for listening. Again, my name is Jacqueline Van Beek. You can check out Liz, in the show notes. All her links are below. And also follow, subscribe if you like and enjoy this. And if you're interested, definitely check out my program to help you find your spark. pinkstarmusic.com. You find more info, and definitely hit the like and share it with someone who might be interested in this, or it might help them. And I will see you in the next episode. Have an amazing rest of your day, and always, always follow your bliss.
I'm dancing with myself, me, myself, and I. Turn on the party lights, I'm gonna dance all night. I'm a ghetto fairy, I'm a rebel, baby. I do what I want, yeah, can't lock me down. I don't need permission, only boost that I'll be taking is a shot of whiskey down in the basement. Stripping in front of the mirror, getting hot and flirty, head to toe, I feel myself. Love me like nobody else. I'm dancing with myself, me, myself, and I. Turn on the party lights, I'm gonna dance all night. Dancing with myself, me, myself, and I. Dancing with myself, party all night. Hit live, stream it, baby. Turn it up, let's go crazy. We've got our own club, and we don't give a. Nice to meet ya, nice to see ya. Show me what you got, show me what you got. Stripping in front of the mirror, getting hot and flirty, head to toe, I feel myself. Love me like nobody else. I'm dancing with myself, me, myself, and I. Turn on the party lights, I'm gonna dance all night. Dancing with myself, me, myself, and I. Dancing with myself, party all night. Put my hands in the air, gonna jump. Spin my favorite records, make the beat pump. Come on over if you want. We're gonna fight for a right party all night.